This is Craig. I play for DU football. I know both Sams personally. I don't even listen to this fucking show. This is the DU football show.
I mean, he's right, except for he doesn't play for DU anymore because
DU doesn't exist anymore right now. Yeah.
I always like that one to ground us is just to remember that close personal friends of ours don't fucking listen to the show.
Absolute dickheads.
You know, even after a great weekend like that, you know, we get reminded.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of a lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and across the way from me, my fellow member of the press, Mr. Samuel Graham. Sammy, how you doing today?
Doing well, thank you. Doing so much better a week on from the last show.
It's been a few weeks, and it still doesn't get old, does it?
It does not.
It does not get old. Certified members of the press. We have passes.
We have passes that prove it.
We were press, yeah.
I gotta find my pass.
We're press, damn it. Take us seriously. We're official-ish.
Ish. Ish is right.
The show tagline, DU Football Show. We're official-ish.
Yeah,
Apparently
I like
can
that.
get you the pass, but I can't take you home.
No, you can't. We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. It only took 3 shows for me to get both fucking segments right, Mr. Graham, but Daddy's back on the saddle. Fuck this world.
I like Mel. I like how he intentionally looked around instead of at the paper, so I didn't have anything to say this time.
Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. It is at DU Football Show on all the social medias and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email.
Perfect. And you know what, Sam? Go ahead. Be a whore.
It's patreon.com/DU Football Show where you can sign up to one cool little simple $5 tier. Get both of our extra shows every week. That is Sound Check, which is our pre-show recording, and Injury Time, which is our after-show recording and slash preview of the upcoming weekend where we preview the games. We also check in on Mel and my beer, as well as our adoptive clubs from foreign lands.
Yep.
Like Scotland.
Well, Ibs and Aki both soon in action. So
I shouldn't say that either. My last name's Graham. I am fucking Scottish.
There is shit to talk about with both of them. Batiste is probably hung over somewhere, but the other two actually got some stuff going on.
I can't wait. I've been checking in their preseason. I haven't seen any ridiculous people being left out for arduous reasons yet.
It's only a matter of time. The hangovers will come.
I know. I hope so.
Hangovers will come.
I hope so.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both share a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. It is still hot as fucking balls this month, so we need to continue the gin binge. What are we drinking today, Sam?
All right, so we've got Grattan Distilling Company's Benham's Sonoma Dry Gin. That comes into you at 90 proof. It is very citrus-heavy, this gin, with California lemons being the predominant botanical. Comes to you, like I said, 90 proof, so 45% by volume, $35.99 to $39.99 on the shelf. And this one, I believe you just use a standard tonic water with.
Yeah, just a standard Fever Tree.
Not the other one from before.
Yeah, just a standard Fever Tree, really, because this is a lovely citrus gin.
It's delicious.
It almost drinks like a citrus vodka because the juniper is almost
so
non-existent.
Light. Yeah, it's so light.
And typically, you know me, I like a London Dry. I like that punch-you-in-the-face juniper that typically comes along with it. But, what's more important...
I prefer the middle of the road, almost toned down, but not non-existent, where like Hendrix began that category.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to endear myself back to the people of Scotland.
Cool. Well, that's very good. You know what? You should probably tell us to drink responsibly so I can go back to the park that I missed because I thought I was so fucking great.
Drink responsibly, everybody.
There we go. Let's cheers.
I've got a second goblet o tonic. That's why I don't have as much of a cling. I drank the other one much faster.
Because the other thing you can do is zoom your ass into this
Yes,
show, which
you
I
can.
had forgotten to do already.
There you go.
So I don't even get to do my clever, quick wit go into thing that I did
just
before.
tell us what it was. We just want to hear it.
I was just like, just spending your way out of the league was what I was going to say.
There you go. There you go.
We do welcome on our good friend Mark. Mark, how you doing today, man?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Excellent. And Mark, why don't you tell everybody who you support?
Chelsea. Nottingham Forest.
Love it. Welcome back to the league. It's
We
only
knew that was happening.
It's only a matter of time before you go right back down.
Yeah.
No,
No,
actually,
but they will beat us first game of the season. They play us.
oh hell yeah! Well,
Not
I
first
mean,
game of the season. First time they have that fixture again. They'll beat us again.
Oh well,
Yeah.
you love to lose
to Forest.
to classic clubs from the championship. You do that to a lot of people.
Yes, we
You'd be
do.
like, FA Cup, let's fuck off to Middlesbrough. Like that's just what you like to do.
Yeah, but it's usually Forest. 2 out of the last 4 times we got knocked out in the
Yep.
third round, it was them.
So they had a fucking day with you, and then the one time you didn't, you won the fucking thing, right?
Exactly.
Brilliant. Well, Mark, the beauty of this show, it's the getting to know you series. So we've already talked with Fulham, and we already talked with Bournemouth as well. And today, the last week of July, this is the final installment, and we're going to spend all time getting to know Forest. Because let's face it, this is a storied club. This is a very, very storied club that a lot of new Premier League fans know fuck all about because they just haven't been up
Right.
in the
I
Prem.
mean, this would be the English club of choice for American hipsters, basically. No, seriously. It's a classic club that has fallen on difficult times that have been stuck in the championship for a while now. So this would be, if you don't want to be a supporter of the Big Six, this would be somebody that you would probably find as to be an organic football supporter, whatever, I don't know, Sprout sells. So I believe you have the first question. Or Hughes. I didn't mean to jump in there. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I do want to say, so people with hairdos like you would probably
it's just unkept at the moment.
Okay,
I don't normally have it this way, but it's quite hot in here.
I would like to beckon back to a line that I used on Saturday that I thought was fantastic. Your hair reminds me of the type of person that would buy artisanal muffins.
It still hurts.
Mark, please tell us what brought you to the club of Forest. What made you a supporter?
Well, it's interesting when you say about how you see Forest and kind of where you feel they fit in the football landscape. It hadn't occurred to me. I live in Austin, Texas right now. Nottingham Forest is the Austin, Texas of the football world.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, hipsters, woke, happening, modern, contemporary.
The antithesis to Chelsea.
Yeah, heard.
For 23 years, it's been in the doldrums, but that's how I would describe it today, at least. What do you want to know about the Mighty Reds?
Well, I presume lifelong supporter yourself.
As of about 3 months ago, since they got promoted. No, I'm just kidding. I've been following Forest for, oh gosh.
Just lost him.
He seems a bit frozen. Mark made that joke about since they got promoted. That's literally since I've been a fan of Villa.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you still had to choose
All
it,
right.
though.
All
Here
right,
it goes.
Mark,
He's
we got
back.
you
He's
back.
There you
back.
go, Mark. We lost you for a bit.
So you said you became a supporter 3 months ago, and then we lost you. So please repeat everything you just said. So in the exact same wit and charm you just did.
Thank you, McDonald's. Yeah, so I've been supporting Forest about 43, 44 years ago.
All right.
So I began supporting them when they went through the long dark period where they sucked, and now they're good again. So, and obviously that period where they sucked was punctuated with beating Arsenal twice. So
Yeah.
they didn't totally suck.
Pretty much.
Perfect.
I'm trying to remember the dates of Brian Clough. Would that have been just before you then?
Actually, Clough, yeah. So Clough, his association with the club is in simpatico with mine, essentially. I began supporting Forest right around the time Clough came on board. In fact, as a young child, so I guess this says something about me. When I was a kid growing up, I didn't like to run with the crowd. I always wanted to be kind of, and the opposite of everything else everyone else was doing, or where the herd was going. And back in the day, all of my friends growing up were Manchester United or Liverpool supporters.
Right.
And that did not. And I was always a kid who liked the underdog, and so I was looking for a team to follow. I actually come from Oxford. So I have no association to the city of Nottingham by birth or anything. And I remember seeing Brian Clough doing an interview on TV, and even as like a 7-year-old, being absolutely struck by this man and his charisma and just how he came through the TV. It was astonishing to me. And they showed footage of the team as they were interviewing him. And I was like, wow, who are they? What's this team? And yeah, I jumped on board with Forest. The year I did, actually, they had just won the first of their 2 European Cups.
Yep.
And then, of course, they duplicated that feat in 1980, winning the European Cup. Folks, of course, now will know it as the Champions League. But yeah, just remarkable. So I got on at a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the I like little quirks of football history, and Nottingham Forest, the two that I always bang on about are Nottingham Forest have won more European trophies than they have domestic trophies. And then the other is that Portsmouth have held the FA Cup consecutively for more years than anyone else because of World War II.
I was going to say, because there was this little pesky war in the way.
that broke out, yeah. It's also...
No, they're just stout fuckers that held on to the cup.
I know. Well,
the cup.
The other piece of the wartime things...
Moment on behalf of the British nation to thank you for coming off the subs bench and helping us out with that one.
You are quite welcome. Love it.
The other one I love is that Tottenham Stadium had already looked like it got bombed, so everyone had to hide out at Highbury. That was the other quirk of World War II. Just saying. That's
a dig.
Yeah, but other than that I always bang on about. Why don't you give us a little bit of a history of Nottingham Forest Football Club, if you might?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So I've been listening to previous shows, and so I've heard you guys reference oldest club, and I know there's some contention and there's speculation, and certain people believe they have that honour. I think Sheffield FC is the oldest football club, period, but the oldest professional club in the top 4 leagues of the United Kingdom right now is Nottingham Forest. We were founded in 1865. Notts County beat us out by a couple of years, but of course they're no longer in the top 4 professional divisions.
Right.
So hopefully they will get back soon. I harbour no ill will towards Notts County, but 1865 was the year Forest were founded, and so that makes us the oldest club presently. And we have a long and storied history. We've won the old First Division. We've won the FA Cup twice. We've won the League Cup 4 times, the European Cup twice. And then we have a couple of other noticeable things as well in the Forest archive. We were the first English team to tour South America and begin bringing kind of football to that continent, which was really not a good idea in hindsight.
Gives birth to shows like this.
And also gives birth to clubs who then go on to just routinely hand us our ass in international tournaments. But
exactly.
Anyway.
What's that responsible for? Uruguay's got 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Brazil's got 5.
Yep.
Argentina's got 2.
Yep.
Who else down there? Anyone? I think that might be
That's it on them. Yeah.
So 9?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And England's got 1.
Yeah.
You got that one, though. Oh, you're always going to remember that one.
And you'll like this one, Sam. We also have the distinction as well of handing out jerseys to former teams in their formative years. And you probably know this. We gave Arsenal their first
ever kit. That's how we got red. Yep.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Went back when we were way back in the day when we were Woolwich Arsenal when they first got founded.
Right.
Well, Dial Square, really, when they first got founded. Yep. That's an odd connection between our two clubs.
The
and then them kicking our ass 100 years later in the FA Cup twice.
well, I mean, it's a very hipstery thing to do. It's like, nah, man, go to the thrift store to get your gear, man. Don't be buying
Go dumpster dive
jersey.
outside of fucking.
You find a perfectly.
God
Look,
damn
dude,
it.
we got perfectly good jerseys. Let us give them to you. They'll be great, man. You love them.
Ridiculous.
Just on the note of. Real quick, on the note of English football, I just have to bring this up from a few weeks back, and I'm going to make it about me and pull a Graham here and talk pro Everton agenda. The Men in Blazers show, they had Frank Lampard was on stage, and everybody started, there was little things that people would shout out, and somebody was like, "Loved your goal against Germany," and he's like, for fuck's sakes, the thing I'm most famous for is a goal that didn't count.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I was like, that's brilliant.
I thought you said.
Brilliant.
I thought you were going to say when Frank Lampard was on stage, Harry Redknapp walked the crowd with a shank and tried to take money from people.
All right, Mark, you were about to say something there before I cut you off. What you got?
No problem. I was just going to ask Gunnar Sam that when Forest beat Arsenal, did it take the sting off a little bit that Eric Lehigh scored a worldie?
So when an American scores, it's always a good. You always want to see your countrymen do well, right? Obviously, against your club, it sucks, but I always say, for instance, when Clint Dempsey was at Tottenham or even when he was at Fulham, I obviously wanted Arsenal to win those games, but I wanted them to win 3-2 and Dempsey to have both. It would kind of be my perfect situation.
Did you know that Eric Lehigh, after that game, he and his wife adopted a dog?
Mm-hmm. And named it Gunner or something.
You know what they named it?
Gunner.
There you go.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Absolute prick.
All right. So, he's already got the vibe for the show.
It's perfect.
Give the
Yeah.
dig.
That's good. But
right.
I'm hating myself already.
So this is a two-part question because obviously, the Premier League is going to talk about what that rival is for you. But as you come up, first off, tell us who your biggest rival is, like the big one. And then tell us, if it's not the same team, who your Premier League rival will be. What will be the hyped-up derby for you?
As an example, West Ham Millwall is the derby.
Right.
But West Ham Tottenham is the rivalry in the Premier League currently that we see twice a year.
Right.
Okay. So in terms of our actual rival, it's a little non-league team called Derby County.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant. Sam, my friend, that's a dig.
It is a dig. That is a dig. Mr. Mark brought a shovel.
They're actually a very interesting team. Over the last few years, they've been through several name changes. So originally they were Derby County, then they became Frank Lampard's Derby County, then they became Wayne Rooney's Derby County, and now we have no fucking money, Derby County. So it's
That is fucking brilliant.
Fucking brilliant. Love it.
As far as a Premier League rival is concerned, we don't really have one. I mean, geographically and historically, it's kind of sort of not really Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leicester, as much as it would have been Sheffield United if they were still in the Premier League, because the distance is about the same. And there is hatred between the clubs because of certain matches, but there's no real lingering rivalry there as such. An interesting thing did happen, though, on Twitter, which is, of course, where all the interesting things happen in the world now. A couple of weeks when one of my friends and someone who contributes to a podcast I used to do back in the day, really, really funny guy, goes by the name of Silverdale on Twitter, just for fun, put out there, we need a rival in the Premier League, and let's just hate on Southampton. They have a tree in their badge, we have a tree in our badge, and nobody. So let's manufacture a rivalry. And it was done very tongue-in-cheek. And then all of the Forest fans thought it was fantastic. All of the Southampton fans on Twitter were all about it. And so just for fun, we've begun giving each other shit on Twitter. It got onto BBC Radio Nottingham. They interviewed my buddy. So our Premier League rival, evidently, is South.
That's brilliant.
Well, the beautiful thing about picking Southampton as your rival, this is actually brilliant, because if you ever wanted an opportunity to beat a club 9-0, they've lost twice 9-0. And if ever there was
You've
a chance,
got a chance.
you got a
You
chance
got a
with
chance.
Southampton. See, Kenny, I can do it too.
The other thing I was going to briefly say about, the problem with Leicester and Forest being rivals is Leicester, Foxes, and Trees, Forest are mutually beneficial.
They're kind
The
of simpatico.
trees provide the foxes cover to hunt, and then the foxes hunt, eat, and shit, which fertilizes the trees. Mm-hmm. Stretch?
Well,
That's a little bit of a stretch.
No, I see where you're at. You're
I'm working.
You're trying to embrace your inner hipster. That's
Fuck
where you're
off.
trying to get to. I get
Fuck
it.
you.
Look, I'm trying to embrace my inner hipster too right now. We're talking to the hipster club.
You don't have a hair for that.
down in Austin. I mean, it's just how we're rolling. The hey, by the way, and
need to
all the
braid your
in
beard,
all the
maybe
shows
you'd
we've
be
been
on my
recording,
level.
in all the shows we've been recording, the bald ones outnumber the hit ones.
Yeah,
with
that's
hair,
true.
okay?
God damn it.
But I just figure it's like they go, okay, well, they're both Midlands, so yeah, that's it. You're rivals now.
Yeah, it's akin to what's it called in Brighton?
Oh, the old Gatwico.
I did that just for Brad and Jan. I knew Crystal Palace. I knew who they were. I dissed them on purpose.
But it's unfortunate though. That made up derby has really become a fucking derby, because like every time they play each other, it ends up being a pisser of a match. And
That's true.
We're like, well, shit. I guess
It actually matters.
Guess
Yeah.
it's a fucking derby.
Do you remember when I said that we should pick a sport that doesn't normally even have fans and become hooligans for them, like field hockey?
Right.
Yeah. We were going to do that a few years ago when we got bored, and then it just never happened.
Just never happened. I would say Aki and Ibs are kind of those teams for us.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
All right, sounds good. So Forrest had a load of problems with their roster, with their management, their ownership. Chris Hughton seemed to come in and kind of steady that a little bit, or at least lay the groundwork to steady that, where other managers and owners had previously faltered. Steve Cooper, as manager, has done a lot to further that, what Chris Hughton laid, I think, and really solidify the club. How do you see that whole situation and this transition from a new manager every 4 months? I mean, you're only changing them half as often as Watford, and and now being so steady and so consistent under Cooper.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, because for someone who's a long time Forest fan, what's happened in the last 20 years has been it's been bizarre. It's been hard to process, right? Because Brian Clough was at the club for 18 years, and then the managers that followed him also had several years each, and then we transitioned, like you said, to switching managers as we switched our underwear, and it was bizarre. It was very bizarre. Chris Hughton came in to, you use the term they're kind of stabling. He kind of came in as a stabling force the prior season, and he was able to stable the ship because his approach was very stoic. It was very defensively minded, and so he did. He kind of plugged the dam, as it were.
Yeah, it's funny, and I'll let you continue in a second with Chris Hughton. You look at all the jobs that he's had. No one ever has anything too terribly bad to say about him, because what he does is he makes you feel normal again. Now, he doesn't get you beyond that, but he at least, like, if you're a shit show, he fixes it. And he's
Big Sam with a better reputation.
He's like, oh my God, it's normal now, is like what you kind of say with him.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And one thing you'll also hear about Chris Hughton as well is that nobody has a bad word to say about him as a person.
No,
right.
Nothing.
He is one of the most respected men in football.
Everyone fucking loves him.
Yeah. In Nottingham, the press were effusive about him as a person, and how generous he was with his time and everything else. But the beginning of this last season, unfortunately, I mean, the writing was on the wall. You could tell that certainly the attacking players in the team were feeling very shackled and very inhibited by the formation and the approach to the game. It wasn't the Forest way. I don't know.
Same thing that happened at Brighton. Same thing that happened in Brighton.
those inverted commas hipster clubs among us who believe, we were founded on an attacking, swashbuckling style of football. That's all we should ever be able to play. Well, when you've been around for over 100 years, that's not all you're ever going to play. But nonetheless, that's what Forest fans want to see, and that wasn't what Hooton was able to deliver. So when you then combine that with the fact that he started the last season taking 1 point from the first 7 matches, which equated to Forest's worst start in 108 years, the writing was quite obviously on the wall. So he was let go, came in, and I'm really struggling in the 45 years or so that I've been following football to recall a swifter transition or acceleration up a league as that Steve Cooper was able to effect with Forest. I mean, it's absolutely blistering. If you take out those first 7 games and you kind of prorate out the points that were won, Forest actually accrued more points this last season than the champions, Fulham.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is they went from being bottom of the table and then just rocketed up the table.
So I have a very easy comparison that I'm surprised both of you very knowledgeable football fans are missing, and that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after Jose Mourinho. 15 in a row. Okay, all competitions.
You just needed a calm, steadying, gym teacher like mentality to soothe the savage.
And in the
beast that is
opposite
Manu.
direction, Nuno Espirito Santo after Jose Mourinho, or after it wasn't Jose, it was whoever it was before. I forget.
Oh
doesn't
my
matter.
God. Yeah, that
I don't care. It's still funny because you know who the fuck I'm talking about.
Just a quick side question there. How was that for you as a supporter when you're just like, man, we are really getting the shit kicked out of us. We're really not doing well. And the new guy comes in and I mean, right up the table instantaneously. And to the point where it was, I mean, you beat Bournemouth on the second to last or the last day of the season. You're automatic promotion and you don't even have to go through the playoff.
Well, the first part, getting the shit kicked out of us routinely, we've become accustomed to that. So that was we started this fashion. The meteoric rise. I mean, you can see me here. I'm holding back my grin. Honest to God, it was probably the most joyful season I've ever had as a fan. Now, I've had great seasons as a fan, right? That again, I have vivid memories of that second European Cup triumph. I saw Forest play at Wembley in the old League Cup. Clough gave me more memories good memories than I ever deserved to have in the lifetime as a fan. But a single season starting in that fashion and then flipping on its head, and also the football that Forest played during that time as well. I mean, a lot said about this is entertainment and sport is supposed to entertain us and it's supposed to provide a getaway from the humdrum, right, from our regular lives, and I think that's the disquiet that a lot of fans have is they work really hard to get the money to buy tickets to go to a match, and their team is horrible, or they have this terrible losing record, and it's like, well, God, I'm just compounding my misery here. Why am I doing this? Why can't this team do better? This last season with Forest, yes, the results were incredible, but the style of football, it was. Oh my gosh, the entertainment was off the charts, and it made us proud of the club again. I mean, so very proud from top to bottom, from Marianakis, the owner, through Dane Murphy, the CEO, Stevie Cooper and his revolution, and of course the players and the football we saw this last year, both in the league and the FA Cup. These incredible performances by Jed Spence and Ryan Yates and Brendan Johnson, and the list goes on and on and on. It was, I'm struggling to think of a more joyful single season league and cup as a Forest fan. And of course, culminated in the trip to Wembley, which I flew over for.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Got to be there for the richest game in football. That is fantastic to hear.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is something just as a neutral. If I'd be able to pull it off, like that's something that I'd love to go. All of us go see. It doesn't even matter who the fuck's playing.
I was just about to say,
see that match because that match is fucking insanity.
My top 3 kind of events is North London Derby away, right? Champions League final, championship final.
Yeah.
Those would be my top 3 games. If I got cancer tomorrow and I got the opportunity to get flown over wherever by a charity, one of those 3 games would be what I'd do.
Well, hopefully there's a hipster Make-A-Wish foundation for when you lose your beautiful coifs of hair that would send you over.
It'll be an American charity called Make-A-Wish because it sounds European.
Heard.
So, same thing. I was thinking, can you get sponsorship from Vidal Sassoon or something?
I love it. So, Mark, you've already been very busy in this off season, and we're probably going to have some questions to go along with it because I know you brought in a striker, and I want to specifically talk about that against, Ben Johnson, who gives you double-digit goals and assists as well. But why don't you go ahead and tell us about the players you've brought in so far and what holes you still think need to be filled, and if you think there's going to be some more buys coming in as well.
Yeah, so Forest have been very active in the transfer market. I think we announced our, I want to say, 8th signing a couple of days ago. And we've really run the gamut. So we brought in Wayne Hennessy, the Wales goalkeeper, as cover for Dean Henderson, who we signed a month ago on loan to Manchester United. And Hennessy's a very seasoned, very experienced, very capable goalkeeper, kind of in the autumn of his career, but he'll provide great cover for Henderson. Brought in several defenders, Moussa Nakate from Mainz in the Bundesliga, Julien Biacon from Troy and Ligue 1, Nico Williams, another Wales international from Liverpool. So you guys, I'm sure, will be familiar with him. Fantastic player, and of course, teammate of Brennan Johnson in that Wales team. The forward you're referring to probably is Taiwo, and I'm going to butcher his last name. Yeah, I think it's Awoniyi.
Awoniyi, I think.
I believe that's how it's pronounced.
Okay, so I haven't heard Colin Frey say it yet. So until I hear Colin Frey say it,
fair. That's a fair point.
You'll appreciate this after the transfer window closes. We do a show where Sam's not in studio because we want him to be home because we get him blind, stinking drunk, and then we have him read the entire transfer list.
Brilliant.
So it happened the first time by accident. I just genuinely got drunk during the show and had to do the transfer recap in which I just read the list.
Literally, and it was just going Ben Johnson to Chelsea,
and it was so bad it was good because that particular summer there was a ton of Eastern Europeans that moved. It had the Z's with the line through it, the O's with the line through it, and had all sorts of shit that I don't normally have to say, and I was hammered. So it was all right.
There's way too many ICHs in this name.
Yeah, it was pretty good,
and it was with that kind of
enthusiasm
as well, which made it even better because then me and his friend who were in studio watching, and his friend just. He won't stop. He just keeps going.
It was very funny.
And so myself and producer Mel, because he's off in Baltimore as we do it, we legitimately just look at each other. He is background noise as we have conversations. And then he'll be like, wait, what are you saying? He'll be like, shut up, just read the list. You're okay. Just keep going, drunk boy. And I just make sure, be like, how many, hey, Sam, how full is that beer? Like midway through the normal show. And he'll be like, it's about half full. I was like, you really should go get another. You should probably finish that one, shouldn't you now? And just get him.
That happened.
Right, proper pissed, and then make him read a list, which is really... It is as riveting as it sounds. But it's
one of those train wrecks that was so bad it was good. You couldn't look away from it. You know what I mean?
So do not feel embarrassed by messing up names because he's going to mess it up, and then I mess it up sober every week,
all the time.
So with the signing of the new striker, how much do you think that's going to take away from Ben Johnson or not Ben Johnson? Sorry, Brendan Johnson. Sorry.
Yeah.
How do you think that's going to take away, or is it just the need to add depth to the overall roster?
Yeah. So just quickly, it's Brennan Johnson, not Brendan.
Sorry, my apologies.
No. There's an interesting story about this. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jim Brennan, former Canadian international.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that name for sure.
Okay, so Jim Brennan was a fullback at Forest back in the day. He was a teammate of David Johnson, Brennan Johnson's dad, and Brennan is named after Jim.
Oh, very cool.
That's cute.
Very cool. Love it.
There you go. So as far as let's go with Taiwo because now we're friends. So we're on first day. So I think Taiwo was definitely he was a targeted transfer, that's for sure. He's our record signing. I think he comes in at just shy of about $23 million, which doesn't sound like a lot in Premiership terms, but he has had a great last season in the Bundesliga where, he's gone toe to toe with some tough defenses and really proved his mettle. So there's no doubt
16 or 17 goals or something.
And he was
right.
number 6 in total goals scored in the league.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I mean, it's not an easy feat to do. I mean,
granted, you'll never hit top spot as long as Lewandowski's there because he had that wrapped up by Christmas.
Right, but then you also have other guys in the top 5 who, can score a ton of goals in Germany, and then when they get to Chelsea, forget what a goal is and hit it in row Z when it's wide open.
Yeah. He didn't even take a picture the right way. It's funny.
Timo's awful.
Timo's terrible.
When you're scoring almost 20 goals in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, then you have something about you. So definitely been brought in. I would be surprised not to see him get into double figures. To answer your earlier question, though, no, I don't think he's been brought in to bolster. I think he's part of the rebuild. Forest, right now we only really have essentially one fit striker on the books. Lewis Graben is no longer with the club. They just announced this week that Lewis Graben has parted ways with Forest. We don't have Keenan Davis, of course, who was on loan from Aston Villa. Yay for Keenan Davis. He was fantastic. But as of yet, he hasn't come back to the City ground. So that's one area where we're a little thin on the ground. Brennan Johnson, of course, is definitely a source of goals, but I would consider him to be more of a wide attacking player in kind of and I'm using this for comparison purposes simply by position. I'm not suggesting he's at the same caliber as this individual, but he's more of a Mo Salah than a Harry Kane. Positionally.
That's the name of the show. That's the name of the show. He's more of a Mo Salah than he is a Harry Kane. Fucking clickbait. It's all about clickbait.
I don't know. That show title got decided right at the beginning when you say you're the hipster club of
that's fair,
the Premier League. That's the show title.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess.
And your defender that we mentioned, the one from Mainz, they got Mainz to what, 5th place in the Bundesliga this past
something
season?
like that, close to that, yeah.
And they have been a team that was relegated a few seasons ago as well.
It was Schalke. Never mind. What I was going to say was irrelevant.
Got it.
I was going to talk about Werner, who was the coach of, or Wagner rather, who was the coach of Huddersfield.
Right.
He went to Schalke, not Mainz.
Yeah, he went to Schalke.
Sorry.
Mainz. No problem.
Brain fart.
It's perfectly fine. We all have them, my friend. It's probably all that hair. It fucks with you.
He was the captain of Mainz as well.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
Ooh.
Very good. It feels like you look at the signings that you're making, and it's you always got to be a little scared, right? Because you see clubs, you think of, Fulham from 2 years ago, you make all the signings and then it doesn't stick. And then you look at, Villa, who made the signings and they just barely survived on the last day. And it's, you have to decide, okay, are we going to make all the signings and try to stay up, or do we not make the signings and we take the parachute payment and we just make ourselves better the next season down in the championship and we build the overall home? It's a tough fucking decision to make.
Can I ask a kind of a piggyback question to that as well before you answer that one? Is you're spending promotion Fulham type money, but promotion Fulham was under Khan's son, who was just thought he was playing FIFA.
Right.
Nothing actually fit.
Right.
These signings seem like they fit into the team. They seem like people, and with no disrespect to Nottingham Forest, they seem like people that want a stepping stone into the Premier League. So they're still going to try. They're still going to work hard. They're still going to do what they need to do, even if they have to bide their time for 2 years.
It's not Premier League people being loaned to them that know they go back to a Premier League club if they don't go.
Exactly.
If they don't stay up.
It's not people that aren't really bought into the project. They're all being signed on a permanent, and they have to buy into it, or they have the very real possibility of going down with Forest.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So do you feel more confident? We all joke all the time about that Fulham 2 years ago spent $100 million coming up and nothing seemed to make sense at all. Do these signings to you make sense as they do to me? And despite that, I mean, there are saleable assets in there as well should the unforeseen happen. So what do you think about, or is it more balanced, a balanced approach? Is it more kind of stable, do you think? Or because at one point, 3 seasons ago, you had 40 first-team players on your books. And it was a struggle to worry about paying the wage bill, you know?
Yeah, and I think in probably the next 24 to 48 hours, Forest are going to announce the dual signing of Lewis O'Brien and Harry Toffolo from Huddersfield. So probably the 2 best players in the other team that almost made it to the Premier League this last year.
Right.
And look at those 2 players. O'Brien, I think, is 23. Toffolo is, I want to say 25, 26 years old. I don't know that any player that Forest have signed is older than Toffolo. I think most of the players they've signed have either been in their teens or their early to mid-20s. Wayne Hennessy obviously being a notable exception, but that's different. He's goalkeeper cover, so the fact he's in it's a good thing. And that appears to be the Steve Cooper model. You know, Steve Cooper was with the academy at Liverpool, and then he was with one of the U groups with England, where I believe he won. I'm not sure if it's the World Cup or if it's the European Championship at that level, which I think was U18, U19. But either way,
it was the U19 World Cup, and then they just won the U20 Euros.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
right. So that's his area of expertise. So firstly, that's an area that Cooper is very, very capable, but also that very well regarded. So as a young player, you're looking at that saying, wow, look what he did for Jed Spence. Look what he was being cast off by his club. Look what he did for Brennan Johnson, who the previous season was playing on loan for Lincoln in, I think it was League Two.
Yeah.
I might be, but either way.
Lincoln City's in League Two, I think.
Yeah.
They go up to League One, they go back down to League Two.
Yeah.
And so Cooper has a great reputation there, and I think young players are attracted to that. And to your earlier point, the Fulham project and others like it, there's been a tendency to buy names, to buy players who are very long in the tooth, to buy expensive and international. Now, Forest obviously brought in some international players as well, but by and large, they're pretty unknown. They're not completely unknown, but they're players who, you know, to your point, Sam, they're looking to make their mark still, right? They're hungry and they're anxious to play in the Premier League. So what I like about this build is that if Forest get relegated, we're building a team that's sustainable, that will hopefully catapult us back to the Premier League the following season. It's not going to be a case of, wow, okay, now we've gone down, and even with promissory payments, we can't afford to pay these players. Or more to the point, these long in the tooth season mercenaries don't want to play in the Championship. They've got no interest there, right? They can't wait to get off the sinking ship.
But there's enough of these young players as well. Like take Taiwo, for instance. He has a 15, 18 goal season. Even if you do go down, there's another 45, 50 million you could pocket.
Yep, exactly.
While still keeping hold of some of the other signings that you're trying to build around. I mean, that's the important part. And with all that, with these signings and seemingly, at least to us, being much more coherent than what Fulham did, where do you finish? How does it happen for Nottingham Forest this season?
Well, I want to finish up on Sam's question. So what do we still need? We need another midfielder, central midfielder. We probably need another winger, a wide attacking player, and we need another centre forward. Other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape. Where we finish, I don't care. 17th or higher.
Yeah,
I gotcha.
Stay the fuck up. That's really what matters, right?
Yeah, have a good time, play some good football. Continue to tap into this is who we are. This is Nottingham Forest. Remember us 23 years ago? Remember how we used to play soccer? Remember how people really enjoyed watching Nottingham Forest? We're back, and we're still trying to do it the right way. And if we can stay 17th or higher, I'll be happy with that. I think this team, and I think Steve Cooper has the ability to do more than that, but I'm going to keep my powder dry because otherwise you're going to end up playing this clip back a year from now.
Sure money.
All right, everybody, you'll be familiar with Sure Money. This is the segment where we make absolutely perfect informed and in knowledge. What am I? Informed bets.
You said better, us, you mean our chicken. Listen to the chicken.
Well, the chicken actually does the better job than the rest of us do.
Informed, but not necessarily accurate.
I think I was almost a few G in the hole, and the year before that, you lost your entire kid's college fund.
I've won it twice.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Anyway, if you can't sense the irony
We've
in the
done it
name of
4
that,
times
that is
and I've
your
won it
problem.
twice.
This is the
Done
new
this.
disclaimer that we're having,
Yeah.
just in case.
We're 2 and 2
We
here.
are not
Stud.
responsible for your shitty decision making.
No, we are not.
Obviously, there's no games again, so we are going through some of the odds surrounding Nottingham Forest for the season. For comparison's sake, I have pulled up some other teams and their odds to do the same sorts of things. So, Mark, if you would, tell me if these are anything that you'd like to take on your next trip to the bookies. To win the league, Nottingham Forest are 1,000 to 1.
That's got to be worth $20.
Exactly right.
That is the first person to be like, yeah, 20
Yeah, I'll
quid?
take that.
Fuck it, I'll
Why
go
not?
for it.
Exactly.
If we win, I get to tell everybody, remember the time I put 20 quid on my team on 1,000 to 1? Fuck you all.
Exactly. And
Why don't you have faith?
I put money on Austin FC to win MLS Cup this year. If they win, I'm in like $4,500.
There you
Those
go.
odds-
Fabulous.
Exactly. And this is where we always mentioned that obviously the bookies have learned from Leicester, and no one will ever get 5,000 to 1 odds ever again,
Right.
because at least 3 supporters that I can remember bought houses on their £5 ticket. For context, Spurs are 14 to 1, which I think is fucking generous because they love to choke on it, and they won't do that. United are 28 to 1, and Chelsea are 16 to 1, since that's Mark's second team. Just so everyone knows. The top scorer in the league, Taiwo Awoniyi, is 50 to 1, which is actually better than Villa's Ollie Watkins at 66 to 1.
And the same is Timo Werner.
Which I think is disrespectful to Ollie Watkins.
It's very disrespectful.
Timo Werner's 50 to 1 as well, as is Bakuyo Saka. Very disrespectful to Saka.
Yeah, exactly.
Timo Werner 100 to 1 at least.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I mean, hit the actually, not hit the net. How about hit the fucking post? Not Rosed. Not Rosed. Hit the post. And then we'll start to recognize you as possibly a formidable striker.
Yeah, you know what I told you last episode about Liverpool to be relegated and City were tied at 4,500 to 1?
Yeah.
That's Timo Werner to get double-digit goals this season. You ask me. But then again, I don't work for a bookie. So to be relegated, Forest are even money, which isn't as bad as Bournemouth at 1 to 2. What do you think about that? I feel like that's harsh on you guys, to be honest.
Yeah, it probably is a little bit. Although, the bookies know what they're doing because they have Bournemouth below us, and that makes sense. I think the 3 teams going down, most likely, though. Not that you ask me, but I think Bournemouth will be one of them. And I think Leeds are in trouble. I think Jesse Marsh has his hands full there with some of the players that he's lost.
I tend to agree.
I think Everton could be on the rocks.
Yeah, we got a lot to fix. That is for damn sure.
So your biggest rival in the Premier League, Southampton, are 3 to 1 to go down, and then Wolves are 4 to 1, which I thought was harsh on them, to be honest.
Yeah, as well. I thought they played. I mean, they didn't finish well, but they had fuck all to play for. You know?
Exactly. Brentford 12 to 5.
I mean, they were to shout for Champions League. At
I know.
one point.
They also had Raul Jimenez coming back from that horrific injury. The David Luiz broke his whole face.
Yeah. I disagree with that on.
Yeah,
Wolves.
that's a bit harsh on Wolves, I think, personally. And top six. I'm sorry.
I think Brentford are in the mix. They just lost Ericsson to United.
Yeah, The Walking Dead season 2 premiering August 7th.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the first week when we were with Fulham.
It's still so
the
bad.
fact that they lost Ericsson, because they were in a bad way before they got Ericsson in, and then it all got fixed. So unless you get that guy,
they also
that can
had a
pull
ton
the
of injuries
strings,
last year.
Get
as
that guy
well.
that can pull the strings, you're gonna be in trouble. And typically, whoever does really, really well that got promoted from the championship the year before normally has a really bad sophomore slump.
Yeah.
So is producer Mal essentially your Ericsson?
Oh yeah, she pulls all the strings. Definitely is
100%.
exactly what she does.
Yeah, you guys
Oh, we lost you there. You guys what?
would fall apart otherwise.
Probably true.
Absolutely. Any other? Any
last
other
one, yeah. So for the top 6, Forest are 66 to 1, And for some context, United are 4-9, Arsenal 4-7, Southampton, famously Forest's biggest rival, 16-1, and then Fulham are 25-1 to finish in the top 6.
Fantastic.
Which I think is harsh on you all, with Fulham being 25-1.
Yeah.
There's no Europa League there for me.
Nope. No, none for me as well. Oh, you know what? It's gonna wrap it up, boys and girls. Sammy, any parting words?
Very excited to get to it next week, covering the first week of the Premier League.
Excellent. Very, very
Oh,
good.
2 weeks from now. Next week's actually the fantasy show, isn't it?
Yeah,
We don't have a fantasy show. It's a 20 for 20.
Yeah, exactly. The 20 for 20.
I'm so confused.
It's so much going on right now.
There's a lot happening.
Vacations and all kinds of crazy shit. We're lucky we got Mel for that to keep us all in line.
100%.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute
cheers,
pleasure
man. It's been
having
awesome.
you. You've been fabulous. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody where like-minded Nottingham Forest supporters can find each other here in the States, and any Zoom parties or just Twitter handles or whatever. Just get everybody to the club. How they can find you.
Well, first off, guys, and Mal as well, thank you so much for having me on the show. Appreciate the invitation. It's been a blast. Been fun talking Forest with you, so thanks so much. In regards to where you guys can find about all things Forest, NFFCNA on Twitter is a great first place to start. So that's the Nottingham Forest North American Supporters Group with representation in the US and Canada. And it's a pretty vibrant Twitter account. And it's, again, a good place to connect with like-minded Forest fans, or if you're just more curious and learning a bit more about this hipster club, as we're now going to be known. If you're interested in following me at all, I cover all things Forest, but I also live in Austin as well, and I'm kind of connected to Austin FC, hence my Twitter handle, which is Turner in Verde, Verde. It could be Turner in Rojo, I suppose, but most of what I talk about today is Austin FC, so that's where you can track me and some of the writing I do and other bits and pieces. The one thing I want to say as well is that the Nottingham Forest North American Supporters Group every year would have a gathering, which typically would coincide with Forest's first home game. And they'd find a bar somewhere and they gather en masse, and people came from all over the US for this. And of course, that's been impossible these last couple of years for COVID. We actually had an event in Nashville scheduled before COVID hit. That event is back on August 13th and 14th. The NFFC NA group will be Nashville for Forest's opening home Premier League game against West Ham United. So and I'm going to be there, and there's probably going to be a couple of hundred people there, and it should be absolutely mental. Very excited about that. So if you're interested in getting in the room, being with some Crazy Reds fans, if you want a team, you can grab a plane ticket. I have 2 queen beds in my hotel room. One of them is unspoken for right now. You're very welcome to it. Then, again, all that information can be found at NFFCNA.
Real quick, just before Sam closes this up, can you please confirm for me that the Hipster Club of the Premier League, Nottingham Forest, is having a match watch together, the Nottingham Forest of North America gathering at a steampunk bar?
It probably is. If I had my wits about me, I could tell you the name of the place that we're in. But again, NFFCNA has all that information. But yeah, sure. For the purposes of this interview, absolutely.
And it's got to be a hipstery Nashville.
That's what I'm saying. It's all steampunk. You could bring your dog too. They have dog beer there. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That is definitely the case.
100%.
All right.
Whoa. Dog beer is a thing.
Oh, yeah. They have
Why
dog
do we
bars
not
now.
have dog beer for Big B?
Yeah, our dog does not need beer. He's crazy enough as it is.
We don't need that. He just took out Sam's other knee the other day, or yesterday.
All right, so
fuck.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us, boys and girls. That's going to wrap it up. Next up is Injury Time, where we're going to recap the famous whiskey show that happened. Had all the top 20 whiskeys out, and had Taylor here.
Taylor here.
Fucking Taylor here as well.
We've got some crazy shit to talk about.
Absolutely.
I'm spilling all the tea.
I am so glad they brung the noise that day.
An MVP for Ray.
You too. Should somebody want to find Injury Time, Sam, how do they go about doing it?
It's very simple. Again, as I stick my leg out onto the sidewalk of New York City, it is patreon.com/DUFootballShow. You sign up to that $1 $5 tier, and you're able to get both of those extra shows. Our pre-show recording where we actually do check our sound levels, sound check, and catch up from the weekend, as well as Injury Time, which is our recaps of various parties we have throughout the summer, as well as the preview show for the Premier League coming up the following weekend.
Beautiful. Also, be sure to check out our link tree, which is pinned to all of our socials at DU Football Show on Insta, at DU Football Show on Twitter, and DU Football Show on Facebook. Linktree has everything you need to know about us and where to find us.
They've got our Twitch, they've got our YouTube, they've got everything.
Yep, exactly. And they got our new and improved Drip Shack. So, till next week, everybody.
Good night.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stuff of a lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United! Hit the fucking mute button!